What is going on, guys? This is Brad with Market Cycle University here, and today I'm actually going to bring you guys another backtesting video. I'm in the midst of the backtest already, so I thought I would just kind of pick it up right where I'm kind of in the center of and go from there with you guys. But just to further recap, I did do another backtesting, which was actually episode 1 of this whole series I'm doing, where I walk you through the time frames I actually use, the time frames, which is the 1 week, the 1 day, the 1 hour, and the 10-minute time frame. And what you guys would have noticed is that as I was moving through the time frames, there was a certain amount of things that I had to see before I jumped down to my next time frame. So for example, if I was in, say, the weekly time frame, which I am right now, let me get rid of these. I'm just going to leave my weekly labels up there for you guys. If I was in the weekly time frame, there are certain things I would have to see, like say price making a move and catching the MAs, before I would be able to then move down to my daily time frame, right? And then kind of the same thing occurs where on the daily time frame, there's a certain amount of things that I would need to see in order to then jump down to my 1 hour time frame. So you'll see the moves of, from the white labels, the weekly moves, right? But within these weekly moves, say in these areas, which just shows up as singular candles on the weekly time frame, as you can see, there are moves that are going structure up, down, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, and then that fails and creates lower lows, lower highs. That sequence where price moves bullish and then bearish is creating the structure of a higher time frame, okay? Because the way a higher time frame continues is the lower time frame creates continuous breakdowns and re-breaks up, which then allows the higher time frame to continue. And what you guys will notice in this backtesting is I actually wait for that same thing to occur on all of my time frames. So on the weekly time frame, I waited for my daily to make a bullish push and then a bearish push and then re-break back bullish. And then you'll see when I drop down to my 1 hour time frame, once that daily time frame has validated and confirmed itself to be in bullish moving structure above the MAs, and I'm able to drop down to my 1 hour time frame, well, that 1 hour time frame is going to make a series of up moves and then down moves to be able to continue that up structure or that bullish structure of higher highs and higher lows on the daily time frame. And then once that daily time frame breaks down, it's then going to create the opportunity for my weekly time frame to continue moving as soon as that daily time frame puts in, once again, bullish structure. So what you'll see there is we're kind of working within the fractals of the markets, and that past 30 seconds to 2 minutes of me talking, I would go back and rewatch that, because that, in a sense, is a lot of what the market actually is, right? One, it can confuse you psychologically because, yes, you do have to keep up with what multiple time frames are doing, which is why we have a set rule set and a system which allows us to follow the steps without being lost. And we know that I'm not going to be on my daily time frame if my weekly time frame is not validated and confirmed as a go, right? Because as soon as I'm, say, on the one day chart and I have no idea where I'm at on the weekly time frame, that's going to lead to a lot more confusion, a lot more losses, a lot more to random trades, which all in all is going to ruin your equity curve in being positive over enough trades, right? And the obvious goal of trading is to create a positive equity curve over enough trades, right? So without further ado, I'm going to jump into this back test. I'm going to continue to explain maybe more of what you heard in the first episode, if you have watched the first episode. And then secondly, I'm going to just try and add on some things here and there that you may have not have heard me talk about, and introduce some new concepts to you guys, so that way it's at least embedded into you the more you hear it. And then further down the line, when you're doing your own testing and your own back testing, certain things that you see will align with what I say, and then you'll have certain clicks come to your mind, and then everything's going to start to make sense over a slow enough time. So without that being said, I'm going to take a drink of my water, and then we're going to jump right into it. So on my weekly time frame, I created the breaks already. So we have three legs already started. We have the initial accumulation leg, then we have the first break leg, and then we have the second break leg. And now we're kind of at the top of the second break leg here. Just going to readjust my chair. So we're at the top of this second break leg here. So at this point, my daily time frame, it's created about 4 breaks to the top side ever since its last reset. And in my opinion, it's getting pretty extended here. So I would probably just stop watching. So I'm going to wait for my daily time frame to create a reset, which it does right here. Sorry, my weekly time frame to create a reset. And you'll see that this daily time frame starts to fail. Now, I don't want to try and confirm, or I wouldn't take the daily time frame as confirmed to drop down to my 1 hour here, because yes, this can still continue up. And this is kind of a gray spot. It's like, yes, it could still continue bullish, but it also looks like it's moving bearish compared to how price has been moving. It's remained above the MAs, and then also the weekly time frame is kind of extended. So I'm kind of more so going off the fact that, hey, like, I truthfully don't know if this is going to continue or not, because it could, right? Because essentially we're still in this structure leg from, so we have this one, higher low, higher high, higher low, and this could deliver, right? Now, if it did get to a point where price delivered maybe this far away from where it is right now, I would potentially start looking at this and continue this, or sorry, treat this as a 5th bullish leg that could be delivered on. But again, I would just have to see the confirmation for that to be true. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that the daily time frame is at least going to break down further to create something better, maybe a better build up on the 1 week, similar to what we saw in these areas here. Kind of goes down, builds up on the MAs, and then fires itself, bullish of course. So retracement, builds itself up, and then goes, fires itself off. But on the 1 day, let me change this color to that, just so it's easy to see. That's what I assume, but let's see. And then price abnormally gaps up, right? So I think even on the 1 hour time frame, yeah, it just goes. For me personally, there's no way I could have caught this trade. It's just one of those ones where you gotta let go without you. Let me check the 2 day here, because the 2 day, the MA's on the 2 day, it probably still looks good, which it does, but there was just no setup, which is okay, right? Because you're not always going to get a setup. And this now here, it's going to create probably another retracement to consider this the 6th leg. But I have a personal rule. So just to let you guys in on one of my personal rules. On my higher time frames, which I consider my weekly and my daily, I do not trade. So let me put here. Do not trade past the 5th leg. I just don't, because it's a sign that it's overextended. Now, this is something that I would want to take note of, because this right here, it did prove to be part of this higher time frame weekly leg, hence why it continued. But then it did create a retracement on the weekly and then fired off. I would consider this a weaker reset, and then just goes. So truthfully here, I would mark this as the 3rd bullish leg on the weekly. Just want to make sure I get these labels inputted into the right spots so I'm not doing it later. Looks good. And this would be able to now continue. Because if this is the 3rd weekly, sorry, yeah, if this is the 3rd leg on the weekly, then that means there was a reset on a lower time frame, being the daily in this sense. And then this would make this bullish leg 1 after this initial accumulation leg that happened down here. So it's a little bit of like a shallower one. Typically when price is moving like this, you want to see something a little bit more pronounced as a reset. This is a very, very minor reset. And whenever you have a minor reset, there's a chance that it's not even the real reset, and price then goes like this and then creates a bigger reset, which still looks good on higher time frame MAs to continue moving bullish. It's really just something you have to continuously update over time, right? Because if this here creates a retracement on the daily time frame, then ends up failing, well, maybe that wasn't the third leg on the weekly structure. Maybe this was the third leg, right? So it's something you have to consider. But without that being said, or with all that being said, let's see kind of what the daily does here. I'm waiting for a reset. Delete this one. So we get a reset here, creating the first, or hopefully the potential first delivery of the first leg of this third weekly leg, right? Because every leg, so imagine this is the weekly, it's going to be built up of a set of new legs. So I'd consider this a set. A set includes multiple legs, right? That's not kind of the definition I want to go by and use continuously, but whenever you have a leg, it's built up of multiple sets of up moves. And then it's going to reset. And then the next higher time frame leg is going to be built up off a set of up moves, right? So this would be essentially a new set on the daily time frame, right? So we're looking for a set of up structure in this third weekly bullish leg. And it looks like we are getting that, obviously. This would be now my 1 hour structure because the daily is now validated, right? Because the daily had this weak reset, goes up, creates this first bullish leg, and we want to see delivery of that first bullish leg past it, right? So what we see here is we get that bearish price action that has to happen to reset the daily. And then we want to see the 1 hour then turn bullish like it is right here to then deliver that daily leg, right? So this here, this 1 hour, I'm going to drop down to my 10 minute to see what actually happened right in here. I don't see anything to drop down in yet that's actually clear, but I would label this the first bullish accumulation break on the 1 hour. And then if we get like a retracement here, this is an ugly retracement. It just came down super fast. It almost could be considered like a sign that this price could start wicking. With such a drastic move, it might just start going like that. But it could also start, yeah, this doesn't look good. I hate when price does like a drastic move down like that. It then starts like grinding its way higher. It's just not clean. For me to actually trade this, I would want to see like, okay, it's grinding, but I want to see a big clear move up, retracement, then go. Yeah, that doesn't not happen, right? So that's pretty easy price action to stay out of. This price is now like below the MAs, rejecting the MAs and going down. So it's pretty easy. This goes against my rules on the 1 hour because for any time frame before my entry time frame, I'm looking for price to be above the MAs and catching it and then bouncing off of it, right? This is catching it to the opposite side, right? So if anything, this makes a big down move like this. It goes down towards the MAs. This is potentially catching it to now go down further. Potentially. What I want to see is that price make a big move above the MAs, catch it to go higher. So it's just the opposite that I'm looking for. Let's see kind of what this price action does here. The daily MAs are probably catching up by now. Yeah, so right on the daily 10. So let's kind of see how it reacts. Just continues the chop. Right here. So this would be the first break out of this area, which I will mark like this. And then this would be the delivery of the first bullish leg, which I can drop down to. So the 10-minute here, it's going up. It kind of goes sideways. It's pausing sideways. I want to see a move come up, catch the MAs, and then go. That's all I want to see. So this would be a trade right here. Oh, shoot. No, it would not be a trade. So full transparency here. Since this trade would have validated me at 2:50 p.m. on a trading day, I wouldn't have taken this. This entry down here, no, even this would have happened past 2 p.m. on a trading day. No, so this would not be a trade. It's important to note, though, that this reset, it's not that it clearly fails the MA that makes it a reset, right? Because oftentimes we like to see price create a nice, beautiful reset, then go. Instead, what the heck? What the helly? Delete that, delete that. Instead, price makes this move, kind of goes sideways, and then wants to go, right? So it kind of goes sideways like that. Okay, so let's continue on. This ends up gapping up, going for a big run. So I'm going to go back down to up to my 1 hour here. What I want to see is another build up, similar to what happened here. Similar to what happened here. Similar to what happened here on the daily time frame, right? See that build up, delivery. A little bit harder to see. So we get that move up, build up, delivery. What I would, because it really failed to deliver here, I would just consider that the daily high that I'm looking to target and take it from there, because it really didn't show a true delivery. It just failed back down. So here we go. We have another build up right here. This will be number 2. What we're looking for. See the difference in the reset here compared to there? There's a big difference. This would actually be a little bit stronger on the left side because it's holding itself up and failing to break as far below as this one did. This one here is right on the MAs now after a much, much longer period move. But since it's catching the MAs, it still has the ability to make a move off of them, like it's doing right here. That's kind of a choppy move. Yeah, I wouldn't have put like a buy stop right here. It just would have been way too large. That's a no-go for me. But if this is still catching the MAs here, which it is, then I would more than happily, as long as this creates something clear, Yeah, it doesn't create anything clear there, but it's probably still on the 1 hour MAs again. So if it in the next candle creates something like a move up like that, I will then look for a trade. Nothing. 1 hour MAs are probably going, oh no, they actually look good. So they look good here. So this was a little bit harder to see, but this is a trade. From my rule set, this is a trade because once I have a high, I need a 3 candle setup from the high. So it needs to be the high, a candle needs to take the low, and then the next candle needs to validate it. I don't like when like I have a high and that the candle that takes the low also validates it. But this, according to my rule set right now, would be a trade. Okay? So, if you guys remember in the first video, I break even at 1-to-1, which would be right there. So 1-to-1 is my BE. And then when it reaches 4RR, I move my stop loss to 2RR because my overall price target is 5RR. And if price reaches 4RR and not 5RR and then ends up failing, I at least am going to get hit at 2RR, which is right over here, for at least some sort of gain on my account, right? So first line is break even. Second line is 4RR. This line is my full price target, which is 5RR. And then somewhere around here, 2RR, I'll make it red. This only becomes activated if price hits my 4RR up here. Okay? So a little bit confusing, but not really. Let's see. So price still hasn't hit it. I'll go down to the 10 minutes so we can see a little bit of the structure. This here, this miniature action, so higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. If this then validates, it'll be a good sign that this structure wants to continue. It's already a good sign since it is continuing. But this would have been a break-even trade, right? Because price hits my break-even, and then it gaps all the way down, almost for a loss. My stop loss would have been right there. But yeah, that's just a simply a break-even trade. What I do to signify a break-even, I just put a 0 on it. No money was lost or won. And then I can put that as in trades. And then I'm going to grab all these 1 hour signs and put them in there. Put that one in there. Boom, boom, boom. Where did all these come from? What are all these? Okay. Yeah, you'll notice that stuff I put on my chart, I just don't even know where it came from sometimes. Sometimes everything's just happening so quick. Okay, so cool. So I'm going to take that trade off for now, just to have it off my screen. And then this here, you can still deliver, but so 10-minute kind of fails. Just want to see where that low is on the daily. Looks to be right there, right? Yeah, right there. Because what's interesting is that you'll see here, let me take off the 1 hour notes for a second. Let me actually move all these up so I can see them better. You'll see that the daily does have some sort of like retracement right here because this candle takes the low of the previous candle. But on the 1 hour time frame, it doesn't show the best. Like it simply just looks like it's continuously moving bullish. So I don't want to consider that just because I don't think it's an actual reset. So I wouldn't consider it an actual new bullish leg, for example, right? Just so you guys can actually keep up to date with what I'm doing. So what we're gonna do is this bullish daily structure is at this point, it's kind of choppy, looks kind of choppy. This looks clear over here, but this looks kind of choppy, just big sporadic moves, kind of failing the MAs, junk over here. It can deliver, but I would much prefer, even though everything on the chart is valid, I just think it would be a lot cleaner if this fails and then resets up, personally. And price just takes off. It resets here, but that reset isn't really clear on the daily. So I wouldn't consider it a reset, but if we were to put our structure back on for the 1 hour it's a weird one. Because if this was a reset right here, I would be able to consider these points in here just because my rules would then be reset, that I can trade the first 3 bullish structure legs on the 1 hour. But if this isn't a reset and I'm not considering a reset, then really this all becomes 2. This one would remain valid, right? Because this would be 3. This is all part of 2. No, this is actually all part of 2 as well. Yeah. So this would be 3. If I were to rewind this back and look for entries, there's no entry in here. There was an entry over here, which is the entry I took, right? So put that back on for a second. That was the entry I took. There's no entry here. And then there's no entry over in here as well. So at this point, I'm just waiting for a daily reset, which looks like to be happening up here. Opens up here and then comes all the way down. This is pretty extended though on the weekly, I imagine. So if I go to my weekly time frame here, this is just going to look like a huge up move. Yeah, huge up move. So I want the daily to fail. Whether it does, I don't know. Because according to my rules, it's still okay to trade. If it creates something clear, I don't see why we couldn't trade it. It's just kind of one of those moments where it's like a one and done, where it's like, okay, everything looks clear. It's meeting my rules, which those 2 things are already hard to come into fruition already. So there's a chance it doesn't even set up. But if it does happen for some reason, then I'm okay with just taking 1 trade here. And if it fails, then I'm just going to walk away and wait for what I thought or what I think should happen to happen. And if it doesn't happen, then I'm going to continue to stay out. But if it does happen, then that's going to represent new opportunities in the future, right? Because what could happen if it all sets up clear is that this is going to go and create some nice, clean, fresh moves. But what I want to happen is I just want this to kind of go, chop around, continue failing, something like that, to just show that the daily wants to go down further to create a higher or better retracement on the weekly time frame, which at this moment is the weekly's just been taken off. So let's see what the 1 hour gives us at least. So it looks like it's giving us an opportunity right here. This is going to have to create a nice solid push up though, like that. And it fails. I'm going to reset this just so I don't see any price action here. So we have that. This is going to then flush. It's still holding the MAs. They're kind of rising. If this would be a trade here as long as, so Friday 12:20. Yeah, I would take this. Looks good. I have to make sure that this is in proper place because that would be my 1RR. My 1RR break even is right here. So this trade would be at break even at this point. And then price just kind of goes. And then actually goes all the way to 4.6 RR. Doesn't give me my full 5R take profit, but it gives me my 2 RR take profit. So this right here is where I would have been taken out. Then the trade reaches 4.6. So I'll put 4.6 up here. This trade is plus 2 RR. And then I'm going to highlight that and put it in my trades column. So now both of my trades will show. The other one's down here, if you can recall. This trade here, it was valid. So the 1 hour creates a reset. Takes off for the first bullish leg, retraces. Takes off. Yeah, I mean, I like this trade. I wish what was more clear about it was that the 1 hour was just either a bigger move and then allowed the MAs to catch up and slope a little higher. But that doesn't change the fact that with that move that happened, highlighted in red here, that the MAs did, in fact, start sloping up at the bare minimum a little bit. So that's the reason I was actually considering the trade. Even where the trade was actually entered, the MA started sloping up a little bit more, which did make it a little bit cleaner. But the daily, hopefully this is a sign that the daily wants to fail, because that was my one trade. And now I'm just going to wait for what I think should happen to happen, which is this time frame going like that. So I'm just going to play price, see if that actually happens. And it doesn't. Price just keeps freaking going, which is crazy. That is actually just goes to show you the moves that the market can make, right? Like, look at this move. It hasn't created a reset in this leg here. So leg, reset, leg, reset. Lag, no reset yet. This thing should collapse. But I'm not here to, predict. I'm just here to trade it. Were there entries in here? Oh, this does get pretty choppy. So literally after my entry here, it's really just chop. Yeah, this market's getting choppy. So the daily retraces, it creates another opportunity to run this third bullish lag. But again, we're just so high up. It's one of those ones, it's in the new range, it's a fresh range, where if it wants to deliver, I'm going to give it the opportunity to deliver. And if it fails once, then I'm going to retreat to what I think should happen and let it happen. And if it doesn't happen, I'm out. So back down to the 1 hour, bearish structure currently. Let it move sideways. Start moving away from it, hopefully get involved. So big push here. Let's get a retracement right here on the rising averages. This is Okay, so it's failing down. That was kind of a weird initial leg anyways. 1 hour starts failing. Okay, so this, I took this structure or chop as a sign that this is getting ready to end, because if you look back, like look at this here, it's still kind of choppy here, but it's not as choppy as what it was right here. This is much cleaner. This is like pretty clean. This is pretty clean. This is pretty clean. This is up here. This is just ugly, which made me believe that this was going to come to an end, and this is came to an end now, right? So there's no like, oh, if this recovers at this point, then I'm okay. My apologies. It's not like if this starts to recover here, then I'm gonna be okay, and I can further trade it. It's that, okay, this has created a lower high. It's on its way to make a lower low now. And if this even happened where it reclaimed the MAs would be going sideways at that point, right? So imagine a candle engulfs this black candle next to it like that. The MAs would be moving sideways. So yeah, I wouldn't trade this. There's no way that even if I just arrived to the market like this, that I would look at this and be like, okay. So the weekly's up this far. The daily's finally failing the 20. But this is the last area I can look. No way. Let it retrace. And that's enough for a retracement. All it has to do is that, right? And then this is going to be the first accumulation leg. This is going to be the first structure leg, bullish leg to run. Going to look at the 1 hour time frame. Okay. So we got this first accumulation leg to run, first bullish leg to run, assuming that the 10-minute can create some nice setup here. We're going to be in a trade. No, came down too low. Yeah, right there, right here. Even though it's probably going to lose right here. Let's check to make sure. Ooh, 2? No, it's past 2 p.m. So 2 p.m. I would not have taken this trade. Yeah, 2:20. Yeah, it's just no go. Probably ends up losing too. Yeah, chop. End of the market. This is end of hours. Right up until here. And this is market open. So you're bound to get a little bit of chop in market open. Okay? So that's why we don't trade after 2 p.m. and that's why I personally don't take any trades right at open, because that shit happens. Okay? But with all that being said, this is structure lag number 2 that can deliver. So that a 3 candlestick setup. So we have the high, low, low, boom. That's a trade. You get that 1 hour push made by 10-minute structure legs as shown here. You get that 1 hour retracement, meaning the 10-minute went bearish. Bearish. And now you have bullish structure on the 10-minute, meaning that 1 hour is hopefully going to pretty much create this. Let me redo that. I don't want that. I just want up to here. This right there. Something like that. And that you get. So again, this was a little bit of a harder one to see, just because how price was actually moving. It was a little bit, you could call it like jam-packed. The moves were a little bit more together, and there wasn't a lot of space between the candles. But this move right here ends up taking off. And everything looked good. The daily made that first initial accumulation leg, and then makes the first bullish leg that we can potentially run, right? Or daily makes the accumulation, ending up in a first bullish accumulation leg that we can run. The 1 hour comes down, creates this high, creates the accumulation, then the first bullish leg that we can run. It gets ran, creates the second bullish leg that we can potentially run. And then inside that, you had this entry here. We didn't take back to the previous first bullish structure leg of the 1 hour. We didn't take this entry here because it failed the 10-minute MAs. So I assumed that this was going to go a little bit sideways. It did go sideways. It then starts to move. You could have buy stopped this right here, but that was 2 p.m. I tried to buy stop this, didn't allow it. The next day we come into the market here, and then at 12:30 we get presented an opportunity that would have actually been a loss previously if we took this entry here that didn't meet our rules, which ultimately could have led to bad emotional decisions the next day or the same day. But since we stuck to our rules, it allowed us to stay out of this trade and patiently wait and show discipline for our rules to then realign up along with our chart rules of the time of day we're allowed to trade. And then we get presented this opportunity where we have a 3 candlestick setup. So you have a high, and then you have a candlestick that takes the low, this low, and then you have the next candlestick that then validates an entry, meaning it runs through the high, and then you get entered into a trade. And then this trade ends up going, and then failing. And this trade runs for 11.35 R. So 11.35 RR. And then this would put us, so if you guys remember, we took, I believe it was a -1. I'm going to put this in our trade here, and then I'm going to make sure all of our trades are on the chart here. So we took a 2 RR here, and then we took a break even. So we're at a break even, small win, and then big win, right? So break even, which goes in as like a -0.5 typically. So I'll just put like, for this video, I'll put -0.5, and then we have a +2 RR, and then we have a +5 RR, right? So I would love to sit here and continue out this, I guess, back test for you guys, but you'll see here in the matter of how long have we been recording? About 40 minutes. It takes a while to actually get trades, right? I can't just sit here and bang out 20 trades for you guys. It takes a lot of thinking, it takes a lot of consideration, and when you finally enter, it takes, managing as if you were actually in a live environment, because this isn't a live environment. This is a back-tested simulated environment with data that's already played out, but I know this data will play out or replay out again in the future because the market is fractal, and I know the things I do here in these markets in a back-tested simulated environment will be the same things I do in a real live environment, meaning that what I practice here is going to directly correlate with what I do live, meaning that the equity curve that I'm able to build in this back-tested simulated environment should be the same equity curve that I'm able to produce in a live environment, assuming the things that I'm doing are the same. I'll leave it at that for you guys. If you guys do have any questions, feel free to leave it in the comments. I'm going to continue this series for you guys. What I would like to do is for the trades that we actually do end up taking, what I would like to do, and I actually might do it starting with this back test here, is I'm going to create an actual back testing data sheet just for the trades that we take here on the channel. And then over time, you guys are going to be able to see how these trades play out over, say, 100, 200, 300 trades. And you're going to be able to see the equity curve that actually stems from the direct actions we're doing each day that I upload a video, and each day you guys actually participate in the channel and show up to the channel and watch this back testing series. Okay, so you guys are going to be able to follow along the direct progress, And yeah, with all that being said, thank you guys for watching another 45-minute video of me just backtesting the simulated environments. If you did take one thing from this video, comment it down below. Any questions, concerns, I'm always there to answer. Peace.